That one. Right, okay, welcome along to the show. My name's Chris Bechervaise. Sorry, we're having technical problems with my microphone for some reason, which isn't very good because I spent a lot of money on it. Welcome along to the show, Stones Live Chat. We've been a few months of me since we've been on there. I think the last time was just after we gone into lockdown, I think, wasn't it? But we're back now, and what we thought was going to be, we were planning this show, and of course we thought we were going to be back for a few months more, but of course we're going into lockdown soon, and who knows when we'll be back again after this, but we will have to see, and we'll do our best to bring you as much coverage as we want. A new thing taking place tonight on tonight's show is it's actually been filmed by John Gooch. He's filming it tonight, and we'll be putting it up on the website over the next couple of days, so another chance to see us in action. I guess it's a bit like that newscast thing they have, isn't it, with Laura Coonsberg. No, that's right. Okay, right, well, let's introduce you to the team tonight. On my right here is James Marshall. James, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Keeping well?
Yeah, no, not too bad. Obviously, imminent lockdown coming up again, so I'm not happy about that, but happy to be here tonight.
Absolutely. On my immediate left is Brendan Donnelly, our commentator, of course. It's a funny old year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a pain, really, finding out about the lockdown, but hopefully, as being an elite club, we will still be playing through till the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay, and away on the other side of the table for me is Nigel Seeger, who's joining us for the first time, one of our new pundits and commentators here on Stones Live. Nigel, a good start to the season for the Stones, we could say, but it all could come to an abrupt halt soon.
Yeah, it could do, but like Brendan said, hopefully being an elite club, that will see us through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what makes me pessimistic. I really don't, but some things obviously strange things. But let's hope that things keep ticking over anyway. Okay, so the Stones were in action yesterday in the Vanarama National League South, of course, here at against Concord Rangers, and a great win.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was tied up with a few other things, so I didn't manage to watch it, which is absolutely gutting because I've heard from so many people it was one of our best performances in years, and I think I've seen it in other performances this season so far. I think like last season when we conceded a goal, we would drop our heads quite a lot and wouldn't get back into the game as easy as we have done this season. Like the first game of the season at home, we came back into that really well, and then that other home game won 4-1. Wow, what a performance that was! And then obviously we've followed up here. We just need to start doing it away from home now as well, and following up with those results. And there's no reason why we can't make the playoffs, or if not better this year, hopefully.
Nigel, that we've seen the Stones this season getting some really good results against some really good sides, particularly down at Havant, for example, where they showed great character in getting those two late goals to bring it back to 2-2.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was, like James said, it's all bodes well really for the season because I mean, like we said in commentary at the Wimbledon FA Cup game, Hack seems to have got players into defence seems stronger this year, midfield seems stronger this year, and as proved yesterday, all the strikers scored a goal, so they're all sort of in form.
Yeah, makes a change, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the strikers scoring goals. Bren, I think you've probably been at most matches so far this season. Do you see a marked improvement in the performances this season?
Basically, they have been gelling really good this season, the players. Even in training, I've seen it as well, because I'm around here quite a lot. I do a lot of the training. And this time last year, we would have lost to these type of teams.
Yeah.
And stuff. So basically, they're putting a good shift in. It's a shame about the Wimbledon match. If we got that penalty and went 3-1, the game would have been over.
I mean, I think on the Wimbledon side of it, we could have definitely done another couple of rounds, especially for the money side of it, with stuff going on at the minute. But I think if you look at this is the season you don't want to be going on a massive cup run and getting Man United away in the third round because we probably wouldn't be able to go. And how gutted would that be?
It depends if you're doing the commentary.
Well, yeah, if you're doing the commentary, it's all fine. But especially as a fan, God knows how many fans would take there. And that's what we've done. Obviously, we could have done another couple of rounds easily. So that is disappointing. But let's just concentrate on the league. I think that's our main priority now. And like I say, we can. It's looking like at the minute we can do really well.
I think I remember saying to you, Nigel, in commentary at Wimbledon about the FA Cup, and that it's a bit of a non-event this year, really, particularly for clubs like us, because there's no big matches. Well, there are big matches, but there's no atmosphere, there's no fans. And if you get drawn at home against a big club, what's the point? Because there's no home atmosphere, particularly at our level, of course. Or, of course, if it's lower levels, then maybe. But
yeah, that's right. I mean, in previous years, we've done really well in the FA Cup. I mean, you only have to look at Tunbridge. They've got through to the first round, got Bradford at home, but it's going to be a non-event, isn't it? Really,
Well, it'll be gutting to get to the third round finally, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
get like Everton away or something.
And it's not even, it's the financial implications as well. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
obviously you get 50-50 gates, don't you? So
Yeah.
if you've got a big team in a big ground with no fans, you wouldn't get the gate receipts.
No,
so
exactly,
it's not even about the spectacle
No.
of playing a Premier League side. It's the fact that
Prize money's half this year as well.
Yeah, so we wouldn't get half as much money as we normally would. So
And plus with Wimbledon Town, they ended up playing Boreham Wood. So they were playing behind closed doors then,
yeah,
with their amount of fans they get.
yeah, near enough.
Even if fans were allowed in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, well, very shortly going to speaking to Oliver Ash. He's going to be joining us live on Zoom if the technology works. And I don't know what's happened, but do you think it's the players that Hakan's brought in this season that... I don't know whether you're getting the same vibe, but I think they're playing a lot better this season than they were last season.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, definitely. There seems to be, which surprises me as well, because obviously the lack of fans, that's one thing we base our club on, is the community side of it, the fans being there. Obviously we create a massive atmosphere most games. So without that, I would have been thinking that we might have been struggling. So without that there, it's really good to see that we're still putting in performances and getting results, especially at home. So I don't really know whether it's because I think we picked up on it last year, the confusion between Hack and John, who was in whose position. Sorry, and I don't know whether that's just cleared that up, where Hakan's in charge now. He makes decisions, he picks the team, and he's got his own players in now, and because of that, he's got them playing the way he wants to, and that's made a difference. Maybe, I don't know. But it's just really nice to see, and long may it continue.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right, Brent.
Yeah, we got some good backroom staff as well. Hacken's brought in Terry Harris. Basically, got Big Jim, the goalkeeper, an ex-Fulham person that's coaching the goalkeeping, both of the goalkeepers and other players as well. Big Jim Stannard, but it just seems to be gelling together really well, and hopefully with all the interaction with the players, not having the supporters here at the moment, they're bouncing off each other.
Yeah, I think what you've all said. Hack's got his own players in, hasn't he? He's Joe Ewell and Sam Coleman really is like a new player, because he was out injured quite a lot last year, and he's just getting that consistency, I think, in his team selection as well. So everybody knows their roles. He's got the players in that he wants in, and the additions that he's brought in, like Luke Hayes come in after pre-season, and he seems to be like the final piece of the jigsaw. He's just linking it all together, and obviously Charlie Seaman we had here before, but he didn't really play towards the end of last season.
I think we're taking our chances more as well. That's
Absolutely,
the thing.
yeah.
We're scoring the goals. Yes, they proved that. I mean, when would we have ever expected a 6-0 home victory? Yeah. And it's such a shame we weren't there to witness it. But obviously Gucci's footage does a great job, so we're lucky enough to see it that way. But it'd be much better if we were there. So much better.
Yeah, of course it would. Okay. All right. Oliver Ash is with us now, and let's hope the technology works. Oliver, thanks very much for joining us tonight. Well, what a performance yesterday. Were you here for that?
No, I wasn't. Unfortunately, no. I'm stuck in France, but I did catch it on the stream, and it was great. Yeah, it was a really good performance. So I'm sure that everybody is absolutely delighted with that. I don't think I can remember any scoreline quite like that in all the years since we've been at the Gala, but maybe I'm forgetting one or two. Have we won a match like as comfortably as that in the last 8 years? I don't think we have we?
I can't remember one.
I can't remember one, guys. Can you remember a 6-0 win?
Not in the league.
No,
only cup matches.
Yeah, because it was quite incredible, and from all reports, I mean, of course, not many people saw it, but it was a bit like watching Barcelona, apparently. But there we are.
I can kind of vouch for that, because there were moments of play when we did seem in complete command and not in a rush, just happy to play the ball around, and we've got players that can do that now. Now they've got confidence. They sort of look twice the players they did last season. Saidu Khan, he's one of my favourites, and he really is sort of just flourishing in this team. And I have to mention one player who I think has transformed the team this year. That's Joe Ellul. So I don't think we've had a better centre back since probably the days of Steve Watt. He's a really commanding presence, and I think he brings out the best of George as well. So the two of them are really strong. The only concern perhaps we have is that I don't know we haven't really got a good obvious replacement if one of them gets injured or suspended. But that's a bit negative. It's very positive from yesterday.
I know that in France you've had a lockdown probably a bit earlier than we have here the second time round. Has that meant you haven't been able to get over to the club over the last few weeks?
Look, I haven't been back to England since February.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's been one lockdown after another, really, and then it's not been easy to travel. There's been restrictions. The quarantine's been there. So one way or the other, I was due to come over a couple of weeks ago, but that was put back. I'm supposed to. If I do come over, I won't be able to officially come to the club because you have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes.
So it does make the whole thing very difficult. Fortunately, with technology and phones and calls like this, I can at least find out what's going on and contribute a little bit, even without coming over.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's turn now to something, obviously, which is the hot topic at the moment, I suppose, which is this funding fiasco, which from the National Lottery, this funding that's been provided for clubs to help survive the pandemic. Obviously, there have been reports of the distribution of that funding as being, what's the word?
Unfair,
yeah, right. Thank you. So perhaps for those of you that there might be some listeners that perhaps haven't sort of heard about all the ins and outs of this, perhaps you can are you able to sort of just summarise what's happened and how that's affected us and what we seem to be doing about it?
Well, I'll try and summarise it as quickly as I can. It's very complicated, and it's taken hours and hours of discussions and debate this week gone. To sort of try and work out what we should do. What happened was that the government agreed to provide, in the end, £10 million of funding to National League between now and Christmas, so it's effectively 3 months. They got the money from the National Lottery, and the National League had the responsibility of dividing it according to the government's guidelines, which are essentially to cover lost gate revenue. So the National League asked clubs to provide figures for how much the fact that fans aren't allowed in would cost them. So that was done. All clubs produced figures for that. And then the National League came out last week, I think it was beginning of last week, with a distribution method which didn't seem to bear very much relation to lost gate revenue at all. They had divided the loot according basically to the clubs in the National League getting 60% and the two other divisions 20% each. And then within the divisions, there was a slight difference between the better supported clubs and the worse supported clubs. So there was a little bit more money in each division for the better supported clubs. So as a result, you got great anomalies such as Boreham Wood, with their 700 supporters, being given 2.5 times as much money per lost supporter as Dulwich Hamlet with 2,000 supporters. And closer to home, because it's been in the news, Dover, compared to ourselves, we have about twice as many people attending matches as Dover, but they receive 2.5 times as much as we do in terms of money. So the distribution is nonsensical. And then looking further into the detail, the decision was taken by the National League Board in what seems quite shambolic circumstances. And 5 of the 6 members of the board who are from the National League found their clubs benefiting considerably from the distribution they decided, compared to how it would have been had it been done on a lost spectator basis. So that doesn't look very good. So we conclude that at best it was a major error of judgment of the National League Board to choose this system of distribution when others were available, including methods chosen by or provided by the National League executive, which would have been much fairer. And secondly, the National League board should not actually have even taken the decision. They should have refused to be asked to. They should have stood down and said, we cannot take this decision because the 8 members of the board are all members of clubs. Whatever we choose will benefit or not benefit the clubs, and therefore there's a manifest conflict of interest, so we shouldn't have done it.
Who do you think would have been in a better place to have made that decision then?
Well, I think it would have been fairly easy to either ask the FA to appoint somebody or appoint a mini panel of 3 or 4 independent people in the football business with an observer from the National League to decide on a completely objective basis to translate the government's wishes, which were to compensate for lost gate revenue, into a distribution plan. And as I say, the National League executive suggested a way of doing that, which would be basically to give each club a base amount and then top it up with a ratio of their gate divided by the total gate in the 60 amongst the 66 clubs. It really isn't rocket science. So that's why I say it's at the very best it's an error of judgment from the league. They have an opportunity this week to rectify it, and we hope that they will take it and not just sort of fudge the whole thing and refuse to admit there was a mistake done. And because it has huge consequences, it means that we effectively lose something like £30,000 a month that we don't get refunded, and other clubs get £30,000 a month that they didn't expect to get. And in some cases, there's about 10 clubs who in 3 months are given an entire season's gate revenue in 3 months. So it is just complete nonsense, really. And there's 11 clubs or 13 clubs now that have identified themselves as all being up in arms about it.
Sure. Okay. We've got Marshy, Brendan, and Nigel with us here tonight. Got anything you'd like to?
I think you've basically just answered my question there, Oliver. But just you're saying with 30 grand less a month now with the way they've divvied it up. I mean, obviously it does help us out. What position do we stand in with these finances now? Are we in obviously a strong enough position to carry on, be pretty secure? Obviously we don't know how long this is going to go on for, but as hopefully we'll get a better funding soon. But are we strong enough to be able to go through this period, so to speak, at the minute? Not as a club.
I think that we're not in a position where we're thinking that we're going to have to throw in the towel or anything. But we've as I say, when you face a shortfall like that, which we'd budgeted for because the government had said we will cover your gate losses. So we'd assumed when we agreed to start the season, like all the clubs did, agreed to start the season, that we would get the money. And the fact that instead of getting the money, it's just been screwed up. The distribution system is it's a problem. We have to now find 30,000 a month for the next 3 months to pay our running costs. It's as simple as that. So we will have to work out how we can find it. We'll be obviously we don't want to spend all our reserves. We're going to have to look at other revenue sources and think about go and talk to our sponsors and try and find ways of raising that money if we don't get the decision overturned, which we're hoping to do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Oliver. It's Brendan Donnelly here.
Hello, Brendan.
Regarding your lockdown in France, how are the the Football Federation of France doing their stuff? Could we learn off them or anything?
That's a good question. I must admit that I don't really follow French club football, so I'm not quite sure what's happening in football. I think it's probably going to be similar to what the UK. When I listened to some of what Boris Johnson was saying, it was kind of quite similar to what we've rolled out in France beginning of last week. Looks like it's a quite similar arrangement. And so in France, the sort of professional rugby and professional football will continue behind closed doors for the foreseeable future. And as it's, it's a relatively short lockdown that's foreseen. I think that it's relatively easy, or it's easier than previously, to think of a way of compensating clubs for losses in that period of time. So it looks like that's how it'll be. I know my rugby club, we played behind closed doors on Saturday. We and that will go on for the period of lockdown, and then who knows what will happen after that. We'll see beginning of December if the numbers of intensive care and death numbers are down to a level where they think that things can be loosened up again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hello, Oliver. You say about this letter that's...
Sorry, it's Nigel. I should say, he can't see you.
You say about this letter that's gone in. How hopeful are you of an outcome of the outcome that you want? Are you hopeful?
That's a very good question. Very good question. I mean, yes, we're always hopeful, but I spent 3 years recently on the board of the National League, and I know how kind of reactionary they can be, and the members of the board will not want to admit that they made a mistake. So I can imagine they'll be doing their damnedest to try and argue that what they did was right, and that there's no way of resolving it now. That perhaps they'll make some token gesture to improve the distribution, but not shake it up too much. Perhaps they'll say, well, we'll look to improve the system in January if there's a new funding in January. But it wouldn't surprise me if they try and fudge it. So in the next few days before the meeting, which is on Thursday, the group of revolutionaries, the clubs that signed the letter, I think. I'm not sure you know who signed it, but they're clubs like Notts County, Chesterfield, Chester, Telford, Hereford, Dulwich, Fylde, Havant.
Ones with a larger crowd. Yeah.
exactly. And Yeovil, and there's some big hitters there, and we expect quite a bit of press. There's government pressure. I mean, we've all the clubs have written to their MPs to just to protest that this is fundamentally wrong what's been done.
Have you had any views from the FA?
Government money.
Yeah. Have you had any views from the FA?
The FA just confirmed to us that the actual decision on distribution was made by the National League, because the National League, Jim Parmenter went public in saying that the National League board hadn't actually voted on it. He said that they hadn't voted on it because there would have been a conflict of interest, which just shows, because that's completely wrong, and he was on the board. So it's madness. It just shows that nobody on the board had a very clear picture for what was happening in the meeting, if that's really what he believed, because the chairman and vice chairman were, as well as the executive, were quite clear that it was a board decision.
Yeah.
So to go back to the question, I'm hopeful that there's one or two members of the board that I know will be asking the board, will be asking to reconsider and to redo it, but the vast majority may decide to dig their heels in. So we'll just have to see.
Back to me again, Oliver. On a positive note, how happy are you with the start of the season we've had?
Well, yeah. On a positive note, the actual football, and you have to say on a positive note, because it's this absurdity of watching these matches behind closed doors, and the fact that the fans aren't there, and I would imagine that plenty of the fans that were turning up to the ground have sort of switched off for this period of time. I mean, we're getting numbers on streaming which are good numbers, but not as good as I would have hoped. So I think there are fans that just have sort of kind of turned off, but that's a shame really, because I think Hakan has moulded together a really good squad, and on the field for the men's first team, I think it's been pretty good. I mean, we've suffered the absurd situation of the penalties, as Hakan said in his interview yesterday. If it hadn't been for that slightly surreal situation, we probably could be in an even stronger position. We could still be in the cup and a couple of points more on the board. So that's a bit silly. But apart from that, no, I think it's a really good addition. He's added 5 or 6 really good players. Now some of them are playing to get exposure. We're not paying everybody. We haven't got the money to pay everybody, and that's an issue obviously if somebody likes the look of one or two of them and decides to offer them money. Perhaps one of the clubs that has been given a Christmas present in the distribution. That's the a practical impact of what's happened, is that clubs might then be able to take our players because they'll have the money, and it's completely ridiculous. Apart from that, the way it is at the moment, you've got players that can't even get onto into the group, the sort of the squad for the game that are good players. So no, it does look pretty good for the moment, and they're certainly not playing at the maximum potential. I mean, you could see even yesterday we could have probably scored 10, and it wouldn't have been outrageous. So there's more to come from this group of players, I think, and touch wood, we won't get too many injuries and suspensions, because that inevitably catches up with us. But no, I think that looks very rosy from that point of view.
Well, that leads in nicely to a question we've received by email from Val Jacobs, who's one of the medics here at the Gallagher Stadium. And she says, firstly, yesterday was amazing, and I'm privileged to have been able to be at that game. But can we hang on to Juan Luque with the financial implications? And secondly, do you pronounce his name Juan or Joanne?
You tell me. I have no idea. I have no idea how you pronounce his name. It's Juan, isn't it? Juan.
I would have thought so.
Good Spanish name.
Yeah, it's Juan or two ways to pronounce it, I suppose.
Yeah, there's certainly one way you wouldn't pronounce it, but that's pretty obvious. But I mean, the answer goes back to what we said before about money. Right now, money is very tight, so I don't think we'll be in a position where we'll be able to offer a generous contract, probably with the sort of money he would have expected to get had COVID not been here. That would be it can be very difficult for us, to be honest, and not that doesn't mean we're going to be hoping that the sort of crisis goes on, but it just means that we hope that we can keep hold of him long enough, and that perhaps the funding distribution system is changed, and that we are in a position where if one or other of our good players who've joined us on a sort of game-by-game basis, that we can keep them and give them game time as well, because they obviously they want game time, and we've now got a squad of some 20, including players that are like Zinni, who's now around and playing, and some of the others on the bench who need and deserve game time. So it's a nice problem to have some good players champing at the bit to join what is becoming a really good unit. And look, it's a good problem amongst other problems. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that we're able to keep him one way or the other.
Okay. Steve also asks, can you ask Oliver if he feels the lottery will repeat payment after Christmas? If not, what might the implications be?
Well, that's a very good question. But, to be honest, after Christmas is a long way away. And so much can happen between now and Christmas that I always think that if there's enough to worry about in life that's here and now, a worry to not bother worrying about what might not happen in the future. So that will be my reply to that, would be to say we'll worry about January a bit nearer the time, and we're worrying about a lot of other things for this week. So I don't know the answer, and I'm not too bothered about it right now, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So any other questions for Oliver while we're here? I think we're pretty much exhausted. I mean, obviously the lockdown is coming. Are there any implications for that for the club, as far as more practical things about players and that sort of thing, or is it just because we're an elite club we're relatively unaffected?
I don't know, to be honest. I would imagine that there won't be too much will change, because we already apply some quite strict procedures in and around the ground. Hopefully it won't affect whether the kids can come and train. We have kids training and kids matches, so the community side is still quite active now with all the procedures, and I don't know the answer, but I'm hoping that it won't derail sort of kids football, grassroots football, because that's obviously bad in many ways. It's one of the shining lights for the last few weeks that we've been able to keep the kids and the sections playing at the club and giving a little bit of community life to it. So hopefully that will continue, but I don't know any more than that at this stage.
And am I right in saying also, Oliver, that we don't know when that is, when the fans are allowed back into the stadium, we have a COVID-safe plan ready in action to go when the government gives us the green light?
Yeah, I mean, we had a plan that Bill masterminded all of that. Since the month of March, he's been on the case together with the colleagues who've been working very hard on it. to get us ready for it. We had an approval in principle for 1,250 fans to be allowed in, and sort of kept in 3 distinct sections of the ground, as I recall. And yeah, I think that's ready to be rolled out if and when we are allowed fans. But that's unlikely now to be before January at the very earliest, and the chances are probably not till later. We're potentially looking at a season that's perhaps almost fully, if not all, without fans, and then we have the funding questions to think about in January, because we're hoping that obviously our government's going to continue to support. So it is unfortunately still very much up in the air. I mean, personally, I'm not a doctor, and I've got no reason to say this other than from people I've spoken to, but I do believe there will be, in terms of the sort of medical side of this, much more assurance come the early part of next year that there'll be either vaccines available or treatments that are significantly better. I mean, they have been getting a lot better already, so that will give us a chance to hope for fans being able to come back before the end of the season.
Lovely.
That's my personal view anyway.
Yeah, okay. And yes, as far as funding is concerned, it's going to be obviously tough over the next few months. What about your business partners, the club's business partners, or the advertisers, the people that sponsor the various parts of the stadium, this sort of thing? Have you presumably you've been maintaining contact with them, and are they still supportive of the club, or are they in trouble themselves and therefore finding it difficult now?
Well, we've probably got, off the top of my head, probably 60 advertisers who have boards around the ground, and we've got between 10 and 20 partners, sponsors of different things around the club. So there's no one answer to that, but obviously everybody, virtually every business is feeling the pinch, some worse than others. The very occasional business is doing very well because of the sector they're in, but it's a pretty tough time. So for the time being, we've found a very good level of support. The companies that can are trying to keep helping us, so it's been very encouraging. Kind of month on month for most of it, because we don't know how long it's going to go on for, and how their businesses kind of continue to suffer as COVID comes back, goes away, comes back. So it's a bit sort of day by day, but for the time being, and Simon Daniel is working very hard on that, I should say, to try and make sure we get support. Our main sponsors have been very, very generous and kind, and sort of said they will continue to help us this season as far as they can. And as close to what they were due to help us with anyway. So we're on the case, but it's still uncertain through the whole season how that's going to pan out.
And just finally, we know that one innovative thing that you've introduced this season is the live streaming of the matches. How is that going as far as a revenue generation exercise is concerned?
Well, as I said before, I think it's going very well, and it is generating some revenue, but far less than we'd hoped. That's not linked to the quality of the service, I don't think, although there were teething problems in the first one. But subsequent to that, it's been really excellent. And it's the commentary, the fact that the camera work is excellent. It's been a pretty good experience. And I've obviously, from over here in France, I watch when I can, and it's been pretty good compared to the away ones, which have been, a sort of frustrating, sort of tragi-comedy watching the game at was it Havant, the last one? No, it wasn't Havant, was it? It was Chelmsford. It was even worse than Havant. Chelmsford with the camera wandering all over the place. It was just like it makes you appreciate what we've got with our wonderful John Gooch and his camera work and setting up all the systems for us for the streaming. So I think it's been pretty good. It is good. I'd like more people to buy streams because it will help us. We haven't had enough. Season ticket holders have been really generous in the main. Most of them have accepted to swap their season tickets till Christmas for the live stream, and we all really thank them for that, because that's huge support and we really need it. But as a result, or in return for that, they get a really good service. And with Fred's commentary, it's to be honest, I'm really impressed and proud of what they've done.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, thanks very much for joining us.
I'm just sorry for you guys. Sorry for you guys that as part of the sort of plan, it's been deemed that it's probably more sensible to rely on that for the time being to try and optimise the revenues. But we'll see where we go. And obviously, if you can do away games and Stones Live chat, that's pretty good. And as I said before, this chat program, given the fact that fans are cut off this season, is a really valuable thing. I hope you can do this every week. That would be great.
We'll see what we can do, Oliver. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. Thanks for your time. We'll see you again at some
You're
point,
welcome.
no doubt. And
thanks to all of you.
Thanks,
Oliver.
Thanks, Oliver.
Okay.
That's Oliver Ash joining us here live from France. And it's a very testing time, isn't it, for all clubs at this level, really. And it's always going to be difficult to. Well, because it's such an unusual situation, we've never had to face this sort of thing before. Then it's people don't know how to manage it, and I think we're very lucky in having like the senior management team that we do at the club, because they seem to have really been on the ball and done all they can, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, on that note, beyond the scenes, they've done really well. Obviously, we talked about Gucci there. Obviously, his streaming service is brilliant. Fred, the commentator, brilliant. It's a really brilliant service we've got there. Obviously, the funding side of it, hopefully the decision gets overturned and we get a bit more money. But let's not worry about January until that comes. There's no point. Let's just enjoy the football we're playing at the minute, and hopefully something will be sorted out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's right. It's just there's no set plan to how to deal with it, is there? Every club's in a different position. So, like you say, we are very lucky in the owners that we've got. I think it's hopefully they get through it, and we when the fans do come back, we've got a team, and the fans will come back in numbers. That's what I hope, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, when it does return back to normality, hopefully sooner as possible, but there'll be more fans coming than watching Premiership football.
Hopefully, I think that as well.
And basically, the income will come back into the club.
Yeah. We've got two more guests coming up later on. Hakan Hayrettin is joining us here on the show around about 8:40. But now we're being joined by our right back, Gavin Hoyt. Good evening, Gavin. Thank you for joining us. What a win yesterday. What was that change room like?
No, it was good, wasn't it? Comfortable win, good team all-around performance, and showed our quality and great finishing by everyone. Yeah,
okay. All reports, say that you're all playing a bit like Barcelona yesterday, so all over them totally. Must have been a great atmosphere in that change room afterwards.
No, it was. Everyone's happy how we done. I mean, it's 6-0, comfortable win. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how does this season compare to last so far? I know we've only really started it, haven't we? But in the changing room atmosphere and this sort of thing, because obviously you've made a much better start to the season than you did last year.
Yeah, I think generally just like demanding more of each other. I think there's more. I'm going to say there's more leaders in the team. I'm going to say last year you had obviously George was the main guy, and then not as many others. But I think this year we've got a lot more that's like stepping up to it and just demanding more of each other, really.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been great. I mean, the performances have been great, and some of the sort of players that were with us last season seem to have really stepped up to the plate this season. How have you found the sort of? Because I know obviously Hakan's sort of managing the team on his own now. John obviously has left. John still. How are you finding out? Is it very different to last season? Because people were saying, well, it's just going to be the same, isn't it? Because Hakan's learnt everything he knows of John. Have you found it to be very similar, or are things slightly different this year?
I think, like I said before, I think we're just demanding more of each other, and like the players we brought in are like top quality. I mean, we've got like a very good squad. I think like yesterday we had Charlie on the bench. He come on and he scored, and then the other week Justin was on the bench and he come on. And I think he can like change the game. And like there's I think the squad, and everyone's just demanding of each other. And like if you're if you're not doing it well, there's someone else that's gonna come and take your shirt and take your place, really. So the squad's up there, I think.
Yeah, it's good. It's all
Players,
gelling really well.
players are knocking on the door, trying to take your place. So you've got to try and keep up your performances.
Yeah. Okay. I've got Marshy. You can't see them, but I've got Marshy to my right. I've got Brendan and Nigel in the studio with me too.
Evening, Gavin. I was just wondering, a bit of a question about the changing facilities. 'Cause obviously, you're not allowed to use the change rooms at the minute because I think the away team use both of them for social distancing, don't they? And I just wondered, how does? I mean, obviously it's working, which is brilliant. But how different is that for you? Like, is it different? Is it weird getting changed in a bar? Does it affect you? Like, is it better? More space? I don't know. How does that affect you?
It is a bit strange, like, 'cause you're obviously used to the changing rooms and that, but the bars is pretty a big area, so in that sense it's good. So you got a lot of space to move around and stuff. But I don't know if it affects it too much. But the only thing is, after we have to wait for the other team to finish, and then like they clear out all the change rooms and get it clean, and then we have to get a shower after. So we're sitting there after a game for
ages.
I don't know, for a while. Like I think they had a go at my last game,
right?
And we had to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So the best.
Okay.
But I think the win helped it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did. Brendan.
All right, Gav. How are you finding at the moment playing on the pitch without any supporters?
It's all a bit strange at the minute, but getting used to it, I think, really. But it would be so much better with everyone. I mean, like, there's the last few games, obviously, the 6-0 win, or the atmosphere would have been immense. Even the equaliser against Haven. We was all saying, imagine the supporters there. They must have been going crazy.
It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird because so over the last 2 or 3 seasons, I know you haven't been here for all of that time, but you know, one thing we've noticed is that sometimes the team used to get almost nervous because of the big crowd behind the goal down at the Genko end, and you know, and sometimes you know, I don't know, some players sort of found the home crowd even maybe a bit. It made them a bit more nervous because it was such a big crowd. Perhaps if they hadn't played for a team with that big a crowd before. Do you think that not having any fans in the stadium might actually encourage those sorts of players to play better?
You would never know, would you? I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it could go either way, really, couldn't it? You could have some people that thrive on the fans and others that don't.
Yeah, because even one of the staff members of Concord, they were saying like, "Oh, we miss it. Like, we would have had over 1,500 here, and we miss it." So I don't know whether it's I don't know if it helps us or what. People, when teams come up against us, they're looking forward to the big crowds. I don't know. You never know, eh?
Nigel.
Yeah, hello, Gavin. You was here last year. What was one of the factors about for you to come back to Maidstone this year?
Really, what Hak was. When I spoke to Hak over the summer, I've always been like keeping in touch with him and like his ambitions of the club and like what he wants to do, and he wants to win league and just his drive to like be successful, really. And I want to. That's what I want to do. I want to be successful. I want to win a league. So. Him telling me what he wants to do and like some of the players he wants to bring in and stuff. So that's a big thing for me. And he obviously knows how I play and how he wants me to play. So it's good for me, really.
Yeah, I mean, was it difficult in the closed season when you're around at that time and you're deciding, oh, should I stay or should I move on to Pastors New? Was it more difficult this year because of the lockdown and everything?
So no, I wouldn't say so much. Like I just had to keep my head down and just keep training, and then Hak was speaking to me all through it, so he helped me. He's like, make that decision
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
really.
Yeah. All right then. Okay.
I was going to go back to my changing question. I'd like to ask the players this: who's in charge of the tunes in the change room, and are they good tunes or or what?
we've had a few changes this year. So Charlie Stevens on it. So he's like his young boy. He likes his like young music. He's like rap music and that. And then sometimes George jumps on. George Jacoby, a bit of the old school music. And even Ian as well, the kit man. He jumps on sometimes. He gets on it. A bit proper. That's the real old school music. So some of the boys don't really like it. Some of the boys gets on him about that.
Yeah, I bet they do. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I was at the match down at Wimborne when you were knocked out of the FA Cup, which I thought was pretty unjust. All right, fair play to Wimborne, but just unfortunately, you happened to concede that very late equaliser, wasn't it? But as far as the sort of FA competitions this year are concerned, what do the players feel about them? Because you don't get the opportunity to play in front of big fans, even if you drew a big club or something like that. It's not quite the same this year, is it?
Yeah, I know, because you imagine you got you're drawing your Sunderlands in the next round, and I don't know how many fans do they normally get. You're gonna miss that.
Yeah.
But it's still an opportunity playing against a higher league team. Bit of exposure for some of the players, but that's what I think. It's a hard one, isn't it? It's one of the things you've got to get on with and just try and like get on with it, really.
Has Hakan set your squad any target for this season?
And well, we all know what we want to do. Everyone knows where we want to be. We want to get out of this league. So that's what we got to do. That's our aim. That's our goal, and we're all working towards that.
Okay. Well, it's certainly started the season in the right way. Yeah, great. Well, Gavin, thanks very much for joining us tonight. It's been great hearing from you, and we wish you all the very best for the rest of the season. And let's hope it's not too disruptive as we go through it.
So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, Gavin. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, Gavin.
Cheers.
That's Gavin Hoyt joining us here live on Stone's live chat. Yes, it's been quite odd. Must be odd for players, wasn't it? Particularly those like Gavin that have played at a high level and are sort of coming down here and expecting to have minimum fans. They're not even getting that now.
Yeah, I mean, it must be really odd. I mean, you even look back when early sort of National League Premier days when we were getting 3,000, just under that. And I know it's dropped since then, but even still, like in our league, Dulwich obviously get more than us, but us and Dulwich combined, like, the amount of fans we get and the support we show our teams is just incredible at our level. So to even get 1,500 at home changes every game. And like Gavin said, it could even be change it for a bad reason, because the other team come and they only get 200 at home, so they come and there's 1,500 people at the ground. They're like, right, let's play here, and they can end up nicking a victory. So it can work against us, a lot of times as well. But I think mainly it works in our favour. So it is disappointing not to see fans down there. It's disappointing for me, and I know loads of Maidstone fans that are very disappointed they can't get down there. It's been really nice going to see the under-23s. That's been nice. But obviously still not the same.
Soccer sixes, you could even come down and watch, couldn't you? Sneak in.
You could, but
not quite the same, is it?
No, but I just can't wait to get back in the Genco and get behind the team singing songs and celebrating a goal. Wow, how good would that feel first time?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah, we had a couple of emails in. One was for me and Jacobs, but I think Bren asked the question anyway, which was what it's like playing in an empty stadium. I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's right. But we've also had an email from Jake who says, please can you tell Gavin Hoyt I love him? But we didn't have that opportunity before he missed that one.
Sorry, Jake.
He might still be listening, Gav, but never mind. And he also says, do you agree with other levels below being allowed fans and us not? What do you reckon on that, Nigel?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously we didn't want we said it from the outset that we couldn't start without fans, and they're obviously in the same position, and they haven't got the facilities.
But even if it's 300, they could still spread it, couldn't they?
Easily.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's it's crazy. I mean, I've been to a couple of lower level games, and they're declaring 300, but there's certainly more than that in there, and but it looks like they're gonna, it's gonna come to a halt for them now, still till Christmas. So hopefully, some of those people that have been going to the lower league games will now sort of stream into the Maidstone games. It might work in our favour now. So,
well, you never know.
Yeah, but with all the lower leagues, like Chatham Town had a big crowd a couple of weeks ago. I think they had 600 in there, and I think it was only limited to 300. So,
yeah.
But they've made their money, but there's no social distancing, no people wearing masks in these grounds. So that's the thing that gets me, is when I come in when there's training on and stuff like that. They're basically, you have to wear a mask to come into the ground, have your temperature checked, and stuff like that.
I'll see you at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I was
Right,
I was at Wimbledon as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
there was.
I was wearing a mask.
Yeah, of course you were.
Yeah.
But there must have been about 300 in there, wasn't there?
Yeah,
To remember.
yeah, it's quite packed, but they can only use 3 sides of the ground
Yeah.
due to the narrow part of the ground up
Yeah.
by.
Well, they're probably not there anymore now, are they? They've moved.
No, they've moved to a new ground.
I mean,
haven't they?
I mean, it is tricky because obviously you have got to have that cut-off point of what league do you stop allowing fans in. In my opinion, it would be League Two. I mean, that's a logical way to go about it. Football League and any league below, because I mean, you look at the stadiums. I mean, bar the obviously Notts counties and stuff like that. Bar everyone else, bar them. Everyone else has got an open air, freely movable around the stadium ground, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean.
Well, you can't really say a set of supporters is a bubble, can you either? So
No.
if we went all, if we took 5 coaches to Chelmsford last week, you couldn't just lump all the Maidstone fans together and say that's your bubble, because
exactly, because
we're not a bubble.
I know, so it is tricky. I do get that, and obviously we've been classed as the elite sport, so we're not allowed fans. But you're right. I mean, there's just over 500 season tickets sold. There's no reason whatsoever why we can't have those 500 people in here. I know the atmosphere would lack, but it would be the case of just watching the first team at the Gallagher, and I think that's what mental health wise as well. Because I know a lot of blokes that's what they love. They work hard all week and they come to football, let off their anger and frustrations and love celebrating stuff for football. So even for that sake, just to get out and watch a team, it's I'm missing that. I think a lot of other people are as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But going back to this ground, basically it was a one-way system set up, but we never had time to operate it, because the match we was going to operate it the first time was the Dagenham friendly.
Yeah.
They pulled the plug 48 hours before.
Yeah, very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I mean, it's never got to say, I think you're right though, Marshy. League Two would probably be the benchmark, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's where you get the grounds with mainly seats in, and you're quite enclosed, close to people. Whereas you look at the Gallagher as a great example. You've got the Riverside, which it's wide enough to walk past. The Town End you can separate. Even the Genco, so many entrances and exits to each row. You could easily separate people in the Gallagher, and I think a bit like what Oliver said. If there's a panel of people actually looking in depth into each club individually, not just with finances but with letting fans in, then they'd look at this ground and go, actually, this is a COVID-safe ground to be able to allow fans into.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, have you been to any other grounds, below our level to sort of see what's been going on there, apart from Wimbledon?
Yeah, I've been to a few other matches. Basically, you go into most grounds, you always get a gathering of people by the gates. There's never a separation of 6 people. Here, you could actually separate people and put them in their own little group.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing when Oliver said about the plan they had for COVID-safe entry, the 3 sides, because I was a season ticket holder, so I think I chose the Genco, so I'm guessing the entrance would be the away stand for that.
no, the entrance was going to be the Riverside one.
Oh, was it? The Riverside, and walk down the Riverside.
Come down to the Riverside.
all the way along.
All the hand sanitisers have been installed.
Yeah.
So you had the opportunity to sanitise.
So that was going to be
as
that
well.
one.
Yeah.
And then obviously the town end would be the main entrance.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the main stand would have been the vice
walking up the slope.
Yeah, walk up the slope. And that's what I presumed. And with that, like what you said there, that would be plenty. With the when you say staggered entrance, obviously not telling people to come at different times, but with a limit on crowd, people would come at different times, and you wouldn't get that sort of gathering like you're saying there.
Yeah.
So it would have been safe. And there's, like I say, there's no reason why we can't do that now, other than government guidelines, which is really annoying, really.
But we can have everybody group round for an under 23s match.
Yeah, and I don't think there was any sort of. The club hasn't said how many were allowed for an under 23s. I don't think there's been any sort of. I mean, there would be. Obviously, I don't think we'd be allowed 2,000. But
I think it was 300.
Was it
same
300?
Lower levels, yeah.
But
No, it's 600.
600. But yeah. So, but it's still, you can still go there, stand, watch under 23s. But obviously, COVID doesn't affect under 23s fans.
That's one reason or another. Okay. So our final guest on tonight's show is Maidstone United first team coach Hakan Hayrettin, and he joins us now. Hakan, thanks very much for joining us on the show tonight. Hopefully you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. Well done. Thanks very much. Yes, I think
That's all right.
You must have been muted or something. Thanks very much for joining
I
us.
tell you, I'm not very good with technology, so
That's all right.
it keeps coming and going.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us tonight. It's couldn't ask for a better start to the season, could you?
No, we've had a good start. I mean, a lot of planning and preparation's gone into place way before pre-season. I had to make a conscious decision on the players that I wanted to keep and the ones that I didn't. The detriment of them that left, I think we've got a better squad this year. And obviously, when you do this job, part of your job is the budgetary situation. You've got to make sure that you sign the right players for the right club for the right money, and that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to have a blend and a mix of youth and experience and raw talent and experience. So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, and what about yesterday's results? 6-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember when we won by that margin before, and in recent years. And fantastic performance all over, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, we've been playing pretty well all season. We played particularly well against Chelmsford as well, but it wasn't to be. We missed the penalties. And against Wimborne, if Scotty Rendell scores that penalty, on a terrible surface, we go 3-1 up and game's over. But a lapse of concentration, we let them come back in and they win on penalties. But I did say that if we play to as possible to our maximums as we can, I think we're going to thump someone. It just happened to be on yesterday that we did. They're not a bad side, by the way, Concord. They've got some good players there and some good experience. And we just utilised the ball really well. I mean, like I said, I made a conscious decision in pre-season. I wanted to change things. I wanted to work a hell of a lot more in pre-season with the balls and utilise the pitch that we've got. And that's what we did. And it was a great sort of solid performance by the team.
So you say you wanted to do things differently this season. What things in particular were you looking for your squad to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite conscious of the fact that we had some injuries that sort of hampered this last season. I've been working with John for a little while now, and with other managers as well, and I just wanted to utilise the pitch that we had at our disposal. Sometimes a surface is just as important as the ability you've got, and it can either strengthen you or weaken you. And I think with the surface that we got, I thought it was important that we got the balls out more in pre-season and utilised them instead of running, doing a lot of running without the ball. And I think that's helped us. And hopefully it's there for everyone to see by the way we're playing. So nothing's really changed apart from the fact that we're utilising the balls more. The same ethos, the same sort of belief, the same pattern. I think apart from the fact that the personnel and a different way of managing the team.
Yeah. Okay. I've got Marshy, Brendan, and Nigel with me tonight. Marshy.
Yeah, evening, Hack. Just wanted to ask,
Hello, mate.
basically, last season obviously you had John around, and now obviously you're doing it all on your own. What's changed for you? You know, do you find it a lot easier, or is it a bit harder? Do you prefer it?
No, I mean, I've worked with John before. We've had great success with John before. Nothing's really changed. Obviously, John did things his way and got success, and I believe I've got over 600 games under my belt as manager. So it wasn't the fact that I didn't know what I was doing, but I would have maybe done things slightly different to the way John did. But when you've got someone with John Still's experience and knowledge, you don't really go against him. I think it was more so last season that the personnel wasn't quite right. There was a lot of injuries, but this season I think the personnel is right, and we're doing things differently to hopefully stop getting these injuries that we had. Well, a consistent run of injuries that we had last season. So nothing really is changed. Obviously, I've changed the way I am in my approach. I've worked with Terry Harris before every session, before every game. We look at things in depth and in detail and decide what we're going to be doing on a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and of course with the help and knowledge of Dave Richardson and our physio department, we decide what's best for the players and what we do and what workloads we give them, you know. So it's been quite meticulous. It's been a bit more scientific from my point of view. And yeah, but I am my own man. I've always been my own man. And when I did work with John, I told him exactly what I thought, and I never, not once did that. I think if you're going to be working with someone, you've got to tell them exactly what you think. And it's no different this season. I've got Terry Harris working with me. I've got Jim Stannard. Both have got a wealth of experience. Dave Richardson. So they'll also give me their input, but obviously I have the final say on what we're going to do and how we're going to say it. And sometimes we have a laugh and a joke about it, because if I'm going to pick a team or a player and we pick it, and then they say, well, we'll leave that one up to you, and they laugh. But, you know, it's a good team effort at the moment.
Yeah, love it. Cheers.
All right, hey, it's Brendan here.
Brendan, you all right?
I'm all right. With the training and all that, how are you finding the players adapting to the training this season compared to last season?
Yeah, look, like I said to you, I mean, you've been around the place quite a bit, haven't you, Brendan?
Yeah.
So you've seen that I've utilised the balls quite a bit. I've got the balls out more often than not. If we haven't had a game in midweek, I'm not getting everyone running in straight lines and running in circles. I'm utilising the balls to stop us from getting all these injuries, because sometimes if you're pounding away on surfaces and you're twisting and turning, it could have an effect. I think the players that I've signed, if you have a look, there are some experience in there and there's some raw talent in there. So the mix of it is pretty good. So sometimes when you have a Scotty Rendell, it makes your job a little bit easier, because if he sees that someone's pulling, you know, going in the wrong direction, they'll have a little word in his ear and they pull him back in line, you know? So when you do these signings, you look at the personality and the character that you're signing to. Now, we have got some difficult characters in there, not because they are difficult on purpose, but it's, you know, that's the way they are. So we have a good blend in there at the moment, and once it's in the mix, it's working well.
Yeah, they all seem to be gelling together as well when I watch them train, and
yeah,
I think they're
this is
basically...
work in progress, Brendan. This is work in progress. Yeah. We brought other players in. If you look at the team from yesterday, Raven Constable's new, Rafe Brown is new, Joe Lau is new, Juan Luque is new, Scotty Rendell is new. You know, you probably got about 6 players that started that weren't there last season. So it is a work in progress. It is something which will take time. You know, when you do things like this, sometimes it's never overnight. It takes time, and we've got to slowly build on what we've got. Now we can build on the way we're doing things in the training ground. We can build on it with the experience and the knowledge we've got, where others will pull others in line. But like I said to you, when we get the balls out, sometimes it ain't all going to be roses, and we're going to have to work hard to make sure it is.
Yeah, but
It's work in progress.
they look like they're enjoying it anyway. That's the main thing.
Yeah, they are.
And getting the points is the main thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I've always said, in doing this job, you know, you look at it 10 games in, but I know that I've got a good squad. I know from the personnel that I've signed that I've got a good squad, you know. My job, primarily as manager, is to keep them focused, to keep them, you know, believing in what we're doing, because that's, you know, if players don't buy into what you're doing, then there's a problem. But at the moment, they're buying into it. You know, we're working really, really hard to make sure that they understand what's required. And like I said, we take every game as it comes on its merits. We evaluate each team that we play. We look at things meticulously. And for instance, we've already spoke about what we're going to be doing on Tuesday from today. So everything's done in detail now.
Oh, cheers.
Nigel.
Yes, hello, Hack.
Hello, mate.
You
How
all
are
right?
you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good.
So you've got you say you've got the experience, but how's this lockdown, has it made you change the way that you've managed this year? Obviously, we've had a shortened pre-season, and
I think from a player's point of view, it's quite an eerie situation. There's an adverse effect, and this is where I believe that the maturity that we have in our squad has helped us, because, you know, Tottenham are playing Brighton Hove Albion tonight. You wouldn't know who's the home or the away team. There's no advantage there, in my opinion. So I think it's no different to where we're at as well, because, you know, we'd love to have our supporters 2,000 plus at the Gallagher cheering us on, but we haven't. And I think it balances things out. So we've had to change the way. You're right. I've had to change the way I manage. I've had to make them believe that in every game that they play, they're going to win. And, you know, it's a mindset that we need to get across to everybody, with or without the crowd, that we're good enough. And that's probably a major aspect of my management this season.
I mean, obviously one of the main things is consistency, I suppose, and I suppose your team so far have shown a little bit of that. Although you know, there was the odd slip up like Chelmsford maybe, but there we are. I was going to ask you. You mentioned earlier about the number of injuries you had last season. One of those was Sam Corn, who was out for quite a few weeks last season. How do you feel he's done this season since he's been back? I think he's been absolutely terrific in there for you.
Yeah, I mean, I said to Sam Corn yesterday, I didn't particularly think he was as good as what he can be now in the first half hour for us yesterday. And I said to him, come on, I need you to turn up to the party. Every team needs a Sam Corn. And I'm right in what I say, because you have these players that will do all the hard work to produce a ball, to give to another player, to make sure they get onto it and show us what they can do. He's more of a water carrier. He's a box-to-box player. Now, with Sam, I had him play for me previously before in the Conference National, and he was never injured. But it seemed that when he came here, he picked up little, even this season, to be honest, even pre-season. He's that kind of a player. He's quite tenacious, that he does pick up the odd injury here and there. So another reason why we had to modify training, instead of getting people pounding and running in straight lines or round circles. So he's been unbelievable for me. He's a player that I quite like. He was probably the first person I said that we should retain, because he was on a retainer list, and he's done really, really well, and he's fitted in well. But like I've always said to the boys, you know, the team is good, the squad's even stronger. The team is good, and the squad is even stronger. then let it be at your peril if you don't perform. And I think he understands that, and he's doing an amazing job for us.
Yeah, quite. The other person I was going to ask you about was Jake
Who's that
Embry.
behind you?
Oh.
Who's that good-looking bloke behind you with a cap?
Behind me, I don't know who that is. I was that Gooch person. I think he's. Sorry. Anyway, the other player I was going to ask you about was Jake Embry. What's the latest on him?
I think he's had a torrid, hasn't he, really, since he's been at this club. Pre-season, he had the shoulder injury. Then we sent him out on loan to get some games after he got better, and he came back. Then he had the ankle injury. The ankle injury's reoccurred. I think he's had another operation. He's been in this week. You know, he's a good lad. He desperately wants to do well. And he's just been hampered. And I think this last operation that he's had hopefully will rectify the injury that he had to his ankle. And it's all about the rehabilitation for him now. And I wouldn't rush it if I was him. I'd take my time. I'd be 100% ready. And when I am ready, I want to show everyone what I can do. So he's in the process at the moment. He's in a chain of command, and he's going to have to work through that.
What do you think the time scale is for him to come back?
God, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I haven't spoke to the physio, but it could be 3 months, 2 months, could be anything. So depends how he gets on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We've had one email in, and it's from Val, who says, can you tell Hakan he's now my second husband and not my third after yesterday? And he said he'll know what I mean.
I don't know exactly
explain.
what you mean.
So you're going to explain or not?
Well, Val obviously is one of the people that does the medical bits around the club with her husband. I think they do an amazing job. We took a shining to her straight away. Always there, always approachable, always with a smile. And she said that John Steele would be her second husband, but I think I've overtaken his role now. So tell Val I'm honoured.
But that took us 6-0 though, not just after he left. It took us 6-0 for you to go that one promotion.
If you've been given something, you don't want to give it away lightly, do you?
No, exactly. Hakan, thanks very much for joining us tonight. I wish you all the very best for the rest of the season, and we may speak to you sort of later on in the season as well, and see how things are going.
And I just want to wish all the supporters all the very best. I hope they're all in good spirits. It'd be nice to see them back, but if they can't, you know, if they can get on the streamline and watch the games, I think the guys behind the scenes are doing an amazing job, like Gucci and the people like that. But, you know, I hope that all their families are well and safe. And God bless them all, and hope to see them soon.
Cheers, Hack.
Okay, Hakan, all the best. Take care.
Hack, take care.
Bye. Cheers. That's Hakan Hayrettin, Mason United first team coach. A dream start for Hakan this season, and may go from strength to strength.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's been a very positive start. From what we've heard from Hack and Gavin, it seems like the team are, you know, in good spirits, albeit with no fans and lots of other things going on off the pitch. But yeah, I think it's looking positive for us. I know it's still early days. You can't really judge a league position this early in the season, but the earlier you get off to a good start, the better. So hopefully we continue this and go from strength to strength.
Okay.
Yeah, he's basically doing a good job at the moment. That's the main thing. But say it's only the beginning of the season, so hopefully we progress up the league.
And if we can get this consistency going, you know, it brings confidence to the players. It makes them realise that Hakan's the man to take them up to the next level.
Yeah, and we're not going to lose any players for it.
Well, that's right. Yeah, we hope. Yeah, unless they're signed by Liverpool or something.
Yeah.
It just seems weird that it's the 1st of November and we're saying it's early season.
It's weird,
crazy, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, it's all positive stuff, and I hope we can carry on in the next few games, because obviously on the horizon we've got Slough on Saturday, but then we've got back-to-back with Dartford and Ebbsfleet. So
couple of nice derby matches.
We love a derby, don't we?
hopefully, with there being no sort of lower league games going on, like I said earlier, you know, we can we get a good positive result against Slough, we might get a few extra people in for that stream for those games. Obviously, we we'll get the Dartford and Ebbsfleet fans streaming in, so hopefully that will encourage it.
Well, we're hoping to bring live commentary from Slough, of course, and so if you can't get over there next weekend, we may well have it here. We've got to, I think we've got to still got confirmation on that. Sean will update us on that, but we've got to get confirmation, I think, from Slough that we can in fact do commentary over there, and so we'll be here. Stone Live technology allowing us to commentate from that particular match. That's about it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, guys, for joining us here in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Let's hope we get to see a few games, and it's not too long away now. That's it from us here from the VP Lounge at the Gallagher Stadium. We'll be back at some point in the near future with another Stones live chat. Keep an eye on our Twitter, keep an eye on our Facebook page, and we will update you and let you know. Until then, take care and come on, you Stones. Good night.